Good moto morning, beautiful people. Welcome back to Kraken's Garage. In today's episode, we're going to talk about the third leg of our trip to Australia as we visit the state of Western Australia. Let's get to it. In Cairns Airport, next stop Sydney, and then we catch a flight to Perth. Should land sometime around 8:30 tonight. Another long day. Let's get cracking. So at this point in the trip, we're leaving Cairns and we're being driven, taking an Uber to the airport, and a beautiful rainbow popped out. I thought I would share it with you good folks. And on a side note, when we got to the airport, got a breakfast sandwich and something to drink at a place called Happy Jack's. Fun fact, Burger King, I guess there's some sort of a copyright infringement over there. They had to change it from Burger King to Happy Jack's in Australia. We take off and then landed in Perth about 8, 9 o'clock at night. So it was an all-day affair to get there, and Alan was kind enough to meet us there. It's kind of a funny story. I stepped outside for a minute, and Mrs. Kraken was waiting at the carousel for the bags, and I guess Alan was looking for us. Mrs. Kraken saw Alan and went up and said, "Are you Alan?" And he said, "Well, yes, I am." He wasn't quite expecting a young lady to walk up to him and ask him who he was. We had a formal greeting at the airport. Again, not much video taken, as I'm not a fan of shoving a camera in people's face that I just meet for the first time. I hope you understand. By the time we get the bags and load them up in his truck, Alan had already prepaid for us to stay at a hotel in Perth's oldest hotel. I'll put the name of it up here on the screen. I don't remember it off the top of my head. And that was very kind of him. Again, folks, I have never met these people, and the amount of gratuity sent to Mrs. Kraken and I and fellowship is unfathomable. It's just amazing. The next morning we get up and we get loaded up in the truck and start to head for that 3 to 4 hour trip to Wubin, Australia, where Alan resides. We stopped at a local cafe that's one of his favorites that one of his buddies runs. Of course, I had my usual cup of coffee and we had a quick bite to eat. It was very nice, and here's a hero shot with my man Alan. This man is a legend, and you'll understand a little more in this video why he is a legend. I'd like to share 10 fun facts about Western Australia that you probably didn't know about. Number 1, Perth is one of the most isolated cities in the world. The closest city nearest to Perth is 2,200 kilometers away, or 1,367 miles away. Number 2, Western Australia is the world's second largest state. Number 3, Western Australia has a pink lake. Number 4, Western Australia is the only place where you can find quokkas. I may be butchering the name, but the quokkas are known for being the happiest animal on Earth. Number 5, Western Australia has the largest number of purebred camels in the world. Number 6, Busselton Jetty is long, very long. This wooden jetty is 1,800 meters long. That's 1,968 yards long. Number 7, Western Australia has the world's largest rock formation, Mount Augustus, spanning 8 kilometers long and 3 kilometers wide. Number 8, Perth is known as the City of Lights. In 1962, the year I was born, astronaut John Glenn said that he could see the lights of Perth from space. Number 9, the Great Emu War took place in Western Australia. The Great Emu War was between the Australian government and the emus. The Australian government was trying to find land for employment and housing for returning veterans after World War I. The land was overrun by emus who always ate all the crops in the area. This produced a war between the veterans turned farmers and the emus. The emus actually won the war. And the last fun fact, number 10, Western Australia has many world titles that I bet you didn't know. The largest gold mine, world's largest producer of pearls, world's largest diamond producer by volume, oldest operating gold bullion mint, the highest number of self-made millionaires per capita, and that's just to name a few. We finally make it to Alan's beautiful home, and he's lived there all his life. He's in his early 70s. His parents were immigrants, and they started up farming in this very barren land. You have to be a strong individual to set up camp and start farming wheat in this area. Here's a look at Alan's estate. He farms about 5,000 acres of wheat over his lifetime. All these trees you're seeing, he planted. They're eucalyptus trees, kind of indigenous of Australia, for which he's quite proud of, actually. On his ranch here, Mrs. Kraken had to use the restroom, of course, as soon as we got there, and he said, be sure to take a torch with you, especially at nighttime when you go to use the restroom. It's basically an outhouse, and it's all driven by rainwater. You can see the water tower right next to it. So very interesting how they optimize the rainfall to get water for their plumbing out in the middle of this barren area. It's amazing. Alan had 7 or 8 of these metal garages to house all his equipment and projects he's working on. Just a few of his projects that I glanced at walking through there were, he has a Subaru Brat. They don't call it a Subaru Brat in Australia, but that's what they called it in the United States. It was an all-wheel drive or 4-wheel drive Subaru with a pickup bed in the back. It's kind of an unusual vehicle, kind of a cult following. He has a super old school Toyota Land Cruiser that he's just about finished, wrapped up and resurrecting. I'd give my eye teeth to get my hands on that truck. He has car lifts, all his heavy duty farm equipment inside there. He also is a beekeeper of all things. He produces his own honey. Most of it is given away to his family and friends. He owns 2 Harley-Davidson wide glides, a red one, which is his daily driver, which I've shared on the channel before. He also has a 2003 wide glide 100th anniversary that has 0.3 kilometers on it. That is 21-year-old bike with 0.3 kilometers on it. He keeps it under lock and key in a room on a beautiful black carpeted room, on a pedestal that's mirrored, and he keeps a cover on it, and he starts it up every month, and then he changes the oil about every 6 months to keep it in good running condition. Here's a couple of quick pictures of his Harley wide glide that he cherishes. He bought it just to look at. God bless this man. You won't find a better man than Alan, that is for sure. While we were in checking out Alan's vault for his 100-year anniversary wide glide, I noticed he had sitting on the counter my thumbnail that I made for a video that I shot about him called My New Best Friend. I had texted him a picture of that thumbnail. I thought he would get a laugh out of it. And he had it blown up and laminated that he is saving. So never underestimate the impression you make on a person. You just don't know. I hope you enjoyed, Alan. And in the background, you can see in this picture in the same room, encased in glass, is his Air Jordan sneaker collection. He has every single pair of Air Jordans ever made. Alan decided to set up a dinner with some friends, and we drove into town and we stopped at a pub to meet up with another guest that Alan knows. Bear in mind, the population of Wubin, if I'm correct, is 90 people, so everybody kind of knows everybody. And Alan took us to this pub, and I got to meet up with this young lady, Lauren, who from Virginia. She lived in Virginia Beach, and she has moved to Australia in this one of the most obscure places on earth. And the name of this town we were in is dalwallinu, if I'm pronouncing that correct. And she brought me this hat. How cool is that? And what a random act of kindness. That was very kind of you, and thank you, Lauren. I'm so happy I got to meet you. So we met up with some of Alan's friends, and we had a nice supper that evening and got home and went to bed early. The next day was going to be a very long day. Another viewer, Brian, may have seen his comments. Brontarla offered to chauffeur us around his area of the neighborhood, and I'm going to do a separate video on that one because this video is getting too long already. But Brian was going to drive to Perth, again several hours away from his direction. We had the 3 to 4 hour drive into Perth, and we met up at this pub for a meet and greet. Now, during this 3 to 4 hour trip, Alan has a Toyota Sierra, and I got to tell you a funny story. This truck was spotless. I mean, it's like 15 years old. It had 151,000 kilometers on it, and it looked like it came off the showroom. He had a detail to the nines. This man went to so much trouble for us, but that's his special ride for special occasions. And as we're driving down the road, his cell phone's going off, and his friends are texting him or calling him, and he's getting kind of rather annoyed with it. And I'm like, Alan, have you linked your phone to your car? And he's like, I don't know what you're talking about. And I said, give me your phone. What I did was link his phone to his Toyota Sahara. And I said, we're going to teach you a very important lesson. It's just one lesson in life. And we're going to teach you the F off button. And he's like, what? F off button? What are you talking about? And I said, every time one of your friends texts you or call you while you're driving down the road and they're annoying you, hit this button on your steering wheel. That makes them go away. That's the F off button. He about fell out of his chair laughing at that one. So we get to the pub, and this was a collaboration between Brian and Alan, who set this up to make this happen. Alan, being the kind-hearted soul that he was worried that nobody would show up, and he had a lot of his family and friends there at this event, which was very kind of him. Here you get to see me do a meet and greet. I got to meet David and Jax of Two Digby's, Robin of MotoByChance, and we had a glorious appearance of Nathan from OutbackOutlaw, and he was on business travel. He's a CEO of his own company, and he's quite busy, and he went to great expense to make sure to stop by to meet Mrs. Kraken and I am eternally grateful to all these people that stopped by. Robin, David, Jax, Nathan, I don't know what to say. I'm indebted to you. And again, we got a little bit of video on this one on the meet and greet, and I hope you enjoy the pictures that I share with you on this. I'm absolutely blown away and very gracious host to have Alan in my life, and thank you, my friend. We are friends for life. And on a side note, Alan's going to probably make it out here to Virginia next September, coming up this year. So we hope to see him and host him and share some gratuity on the Virginia side of the world. And we look forward to having him here. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. Thank you for joining me today. Peace.